Hi, I'm Troy McGuinness, and I want to introduce you to CapabilityKit.com, a new open source project that aims to help you manage your capabilities in your applications and make them easier to review. Let's go have a look. So first of all, head on over to CapabilityKit.com and you'll see the website explaining the project, its goals, and where I wanted it to head with examples. Now, Capability Kit is a free open source project. There's nothing for you to pay here. What it aims to do is it gives you a set of command line tools that help you add and manage capabilities inside your code so that they can be managed. You can use code diffs and help you understand how to review the code that you have and how to sort of have a story map about what you want to do. I want to start off with just helping you understand why I set out to build this. And what I was having trouble with is in my own projects is managing how the AI agentic coding plans started diverging from code initially as I was doing them and implementing them. And over time, the code changed and I added more features, but I never went back to update the old plan. So I ended up with this folder full of stale and outdated plans in various levels of completeness and no way to tell where I actually was. Secondly is if you're working in a team of more than one person, you might be needing and undertaking at the moment a large amount of review stress, of pull requests. And, when you haven't written the code or you haven't been involved in the code at all, you're just looking at a diff inside your pull request and you're trying to work out, what does this change do? And there was nowhere to really go back other than the description of the pull request, and they're of varying quality, what the change was meant to do and why it was undertaken at all. And then it was really up to you to assess, so what else does this break? By implementing this change and by merging this change, what else do I need to test and check? And it become very complex very quickly. Now, we have tools like Jira and tools like that to manage backlogs of work, but they're pretty broken in an agentic engineering world because they're not version controlled. So the initial Jira issue or epic actually changes the moment that you start coding it. But I bet no one goes back and updates the Jira issue or epic with how it was actually coded. And the moment that the code is written, things were learned, problems were and mistakes were corrected, but that wasn't also reflected back in the Jira issue. So you really lost the intelligence of Jira the moment that code was written, and it rarely explained. Sure, some product owners were better than others, but the intent, what was this feature meant to try and do, and what's acceptable? What is it that means that this feature is done? So that's what I set out to do with Capability Kit. I aim to start making the capability that we're after a first-class citizen in the code base, and that was kept in sync. So you could also go back over time and see how those capabilities and the verification of those capabilities changed, because it's just a text file in code. So the second thing I wanted to be able to do is make sure that not just the intention of what this feature or capability was meant to do, but the ability for us to understand how we're going to know when done's done, how we're going to verify it. And that's sort of what we often have trouble doing. We write unit tests to make sure the code passes what we expected it to do from a coding perspective. But we didn't have any unit tests to sort of go back and sort of say, is this capability implemented the way we intended it to be implemented? There was no verification unit tests other than those which are done manually. And what I wanted to be able to do was I wanted to be able to set our agentic coding tools against the verification steps and sort of saying, confirm this code does everything that we said it should do. And tell me if there's any verification steps that we're missing, a gap analysis on those steps. So what I want to know is, out of everything I said this would do, does it do it? And it doesn't do it? or what should we add to the verification so that we know that we get a fully complete view of what it does. And that's where we really want to look at the capability change control. We want to see how capability files are change over time. Remember, you can diff them. I also want to be able to know when I'm doing a review, I want to know what capabilities were added, which capabilities were lost, and which capabilities were changed. And this is what Capability Kit allows you to do. It gives you the view of the capabilities that were added, lost, and changed, and the gaps in verifying those. And, the main thing that you want to do during reviews, of course, is understand what else might be impacted by adding this capability. And that's what we also do. So let me show you how it looks in code. Essentially, when you install the command line tool, Capability Kit, you can instrument up a .capabilities folder. And inside there, you can have any folder structure you want. And inside those folders are these YAML capability files. Now, the human part of these is pretty simple. It's a title, status, a summary, the intention, and the acceptance criteria. Now, what Capability Kit can do is when you tell it to go back and look and verify this capability, it will take each of these acceptance criteria and look at the code and give you a pass or failing grade on whether this capability is done or not. And not only just done for now, into the future. So when you get another change coming in, you can get it to go through and look at all the acceptance criteria that might be impacted and confirm that that still works, giving you the confidence to merge more thoroughly. Now, when we do set the command line, Capability Kit command line off to do a review, what it does is a lot of work. It goes and looks at hierarchy. It sort of says what this capability would depend upon. In other words, if we make a change in compile capabilities, then this acceptance criteria in this capability should be retested. And we do that to make it more efficient. We look at and we record which files were impacted. That helps the agent know where to look next time to see if we've changed that code. And then it goes through step by step on those verification steps. And it actually does a review of them, and it tells you whether it's covered or not. And, what we're looking for as we get more of these capability files and it gets more complex is that we get that unit test passing feeling, but based on features of the product. Now, you really... These are great, and you really do need to look at the acceptance criteria for each of these capabilities up front. But it's pretty hard to follow. So that's where we also build, when we actually compile, we build these dependency viewers. So you can look at, given this dependency, given this capability, what else needs to be done, or what else do I need to retest? Again, during your pull request review process, you need to know what else might be broken. And this helps you understand that stuff. And again, red and green just shows you over here that there's acceptance criteria that's not passing. And green means you're good to go. Everything in the acceptance criteria has code implementing it as far as the LLM is concerned. Now, if during the planning process, what you really also might want to do is use a story mapping approach to understanding the capabilities and how they grow over time. So just by tagging those capability files with what story mapping area that they're in, you'll be able to see which story journeys are actually implemented and which ones aren't yet. And in this case, we have one that's planned that's not done yet, but we can immediately understand what verification gaps we have to close in order to finish this part of the story map. So that's it for now. Again, the call to action is to go to capabilitykit.com and check that out. Also, send me some email, look at the GitHub repo, clone it, and please help me build it out as we move along. Thank you.